Right now on Morning News Now, President Biden on the world stage and under the microscope at the NATO summit in Washington. This morning, the president preparing for his first solo news conference in months. A key test following the disastrous debate performance that's raised concerns over Biden's bid for re-election.
I want him to do whatever he decides to do. And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with.
All this as Donald Trump takes aim at the controversy, returning to the campaign trail. We have team coverage. And the heat goes on from coast to coast, with several cities bracing for more record-breaking temperatures. We are tracking the conditions, the dangers, and when some might feel relief. Also, the classroom now becoming a no-phone zone as more states move forward with bans. We'll have the latest on efforts to keep the devices out of students' hands. Plus, Gen IOU, a majority of Gen Zers say they're falling behind when it comes to their finances. We'll have some tips to get back on track. Always an important conversation.
And the good news is you can get back on track.
So
Every
true.
little bit counts. Good to have you with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with the increasing pressure facing President Biden in his bid for re-election. More Democrats are now raising concerns about the president's candidacy in the wake of that shaky debate against former President Trump.
On Wednesday, Vermont Senator Peter Welch became the first Senate Democrat to call on President Biden to step aside. Now, a lot of lawmakers are keeping an eye on former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who stopped short yesterday of saying that Mr. Biden should stay in the race, but did say it was up to him to decide if he continues. All this is playing out as President Biden prepares to take center stage at the NATO summit later today. He will hold his first solo news conference in 8 months. A public test that many anxious allies will be watching. Speaking yesterday, the president was focused on NATO, saying the alliance is stronger than ever.
I'm very pleased that today all NATO members are making the pledge to expand our industrial base and our industrial capacity, like our defense spending commitment. This new pledge sends an unmistakable message to the world that every NATO member is committed to doing their part to keep the alliance strong. We can and will defend every inch of NATO territory, and we'll do it together.
We've got a team standing by to discuss the current state of the election battle. Let's begin with NBC News correspondent Ali Rafa. So, Ali, we're going to start with the president's highly anticipated NATO news conference. It's coming up later today. What's at stake here, and what is NBC News learning about how he's getting ready?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Well, the president himself has teased this solo press conference as an opportunity for him to show his foreign policy chops, to prove his critics wrong, as we see more and more Democrats call for him to step aside in the 2024 race. And the White House says that while they fully want this press conference to talk about what he's done and his accomplishments, what he's done at this NATO summit, they fully expect questions to really revolve around his age, his mental fitness, and those growing calls for him to step aside. They say that they don't see this as one major high stakes moment that's going to make or break his candidacy, but rather one of many media opportunities they see as helpful in being able to prove these nervous Democrats wrong. And they say, they tell NBC that the president has been prepping throughout the week in between these working sessions with world leaders for the NATO summit, prepping for those expected questions about his age. But one big unknown at this point is really how many questions the president is going to take from reporters, and really how long this press conference is going to last, depending on the amount of follow-up questions he receives from the reporters in the room.
So we've mentioned this growing chorus of Democratic lawmakers voicing those concerns about the president, and we're going to talk about that more in just a moment with Ali Vitale. But let's talk about George Clooney. I mean, a Hollywood heavyweight and a major fundraiser for the president. He wrote this New York Times op-ed where he asked him to step aside. He did not mince words. Tell us just how significant this is, what was in there, and how surprised the White House is considering the fact that he just raised so much money for Biden weeks ago.
Yeah, George Clooney in this op-ed is talking about his lifelong career as a Democrat, what he's done for Democrats, how he's raised a ton of money for Democrats throughout his life. And remember, he was the organizer of this historically large and lucrative fundraiser for the president just a few weeks ago. And he says that it was that experience at that fundraiser, along with the debate performance almost 2 weeks ago now, that is forcing his hand here. He says that this is about one thing and one thing only, age. And he says, quote, "The one battle Joe Biden cannot win is the fight against time. None of us can." He's also saying that party leaders need to stop telling the American people that 51 million people didn't see what we saw on that debate stage on June 27th. He also touches on what the president and the White House have been arguing when they say that the president is in the position he's in because of the democratic process that got him to this point, meaning the primary process. Clooney saying in this op-ed, quote, "It's disingenuous at best to argue that Democrats have already spoken with their vote, and therefore the nomination has settled and done when we just received new and upsetting information." He says Joe Biden is a hero. He saved democracy in 2020. We need him to do it again. And the White House is pushing back on this. They're referring to that letter that the president sent to congressional Democrats saying that he is in this race to win it, that he's not going anywhere. And they're pointing to several Democrats who are continuing to say that they will support the president. Obviously, Clooney is not one of these politicians calling for him to step aside, but his words do carry weight. And the money that he is giving and other major donors from Hollywood are giving are what keep these campaigns, especially at this scale, running, you guys.
Yeah, and speaking of money, Allie, we understand all this is having a negative impact on the Biden campaign's fundraising efforts. I mean, what is NBC News learning about this?
Yeah, so initially after the debate, the Biden campaign reported an uptick among donors, and you heard the president talk about that in his ABC News interview. He said there was a major uptick, especially among grassroots donations that were under $200 in the aftermath of that debate. But sources are telling NBC News that has slowed down significantly across the board, and officials are bracing for a seismic change in the coming weeks. Two sources said that this month alone is on a path to be down by possibly half, if not more. But the Biden team, for their part, is downplaying this. They're saying they're pointing to those grassroots donations that were given after the debate, the small dollar donations, and they're saying that this expected fallout is not going to make a huge impact, guys.
All right, Allie Rafa. Allie, thank you so much.
Now let's go to our other Allie, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Allie Vitale. She joins us for more on the president's future, specifically what we are hearing here from Congress. Allie, good morning. So Nancy Pelosi, she is the latest and probably the most influential House member, Congresswoman, to speak about President Biden's election campaign. First, let's listen to what she said on Morning Joe.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I want him to do whatever he decides to do. And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with.
These comments come as sources tell you and your Hill colleagues that House Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries plans to relay member concerns to the president. What should people make of Pelosi's comments? What do those other concerns sound like, and how do we see that meeting going?
You know, I have to tell you guys, on Tuesday, after Democrats, both in the House and Senate, had their various huddles, they had long kind of family-style discussions. They were told not to leak it to reporters because they think that's hurting the process. But there were a lot of concerns that were aired. In the aftermath of those meetings, at the end of the day on Tuesday, it really did sort of feel like, yeah, maybe some other members would come out and express doubts. And of course, we saw that. But by and large, it felt like this was coming towards some kind of conclusion. And then, of course, nearly 24 hours ago to the minute, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi went on Morning Joe. And for someone who was always very specific, very nothing happens by accident with the Speaker Emerita, those comments really reverberated around Capitol Hill. And just in the last few minutes, guys, we have a new statement from her spokesperson who is trying to once again underscore the fact that Pelosi is publicly in Biden's corner. Her spokesperson telling us it's completely false that Speaker Pelosi has told members that President Biden needs to step aside. The spokesperson also says that Speaker Pelosi said explicitly in that Morning Joe interview that members should hold off any public statements about concerns on the president until after the NATO summit concludes. That is what I took from Pelosi's interview, where she was pressed on the fact that Biden has decided He's staying in the race. But nevertheless, we're going to see potentially after the NATO summit ends, more members could come forward. And frankly, I have to tell you guys, I've heard from other Democratic members of Congress who have said there are more members who want to come forward, be it to voice their concerns or to say that President Biden should no longer be the party's standard bearer. So just because NATO's ending, just because a lot of people are looking at this press conference that the president is going to give later today, doesn't mean that this is the end of this.
Let's move over to the Senate. As we mentioned, Vermont Senator Peter Welch is now the first Democratic senator to call for the president to step aside. So we know today the caucus is expected to meet with senior Biden advisors. What are they going to cover in that meeting?
This is really meant to quell the panic, quell the frustration that we have seen from senators, and certainly there is a lot of it, especially because so many of these concerns come from the fact that senators and House members feel like they haven't been presented with a plan to win, a path forward. They want to see the data. They don't want to argue with the feelings, with the vibes, which I can tell you are bad. They instead want to feel like they have facts at their fingertips and that they have seen fresh data that shows there's a path forward here. That's why this meeting, it's a special meeting for Senate Democrats with a trio of top Biden campaign officials. There are some who are griping that the president won't be there. Of course, the NATO summit is still ongoing, but there are others who feel like this is a meeting that they've wanted for a long time. And I have to tell you, there's no member that I've spoken to who relishes this moment that their party is in. There is a lot of love and respect for President Biden, the role that he has played over the course of the last 4 years, but also the fact that he has really been a person who has been prevalent in Washington for decades as a member of the Senate, a powerful chairman of the Judiciary Committee there. He is a known quantity on Capitol Hill. A lot of these members are almost begging for something that can assuage their concerns, make them feel better about their own reelection chances, not just the party's reelection chances against Trump. This meeting with Biden campaign officials is a chance to do that. There's a question about if it's too little, too late, or if people are just the vibes are so baked in as bad that there's not a way to shift them at this point. That's really the open question on the Hill right now.
All right. We love when you give it to it straight, Allie. Bad vibes. Thank you very much. Good to have you.
All right, let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray for more on the state of the rake. Mark, good morning. Today marks 2 weeks since the first presidential debate in Atlanta. It feels like longer, but yes, 2 weeks today. I mean, walk us through some of the new polls out since then. What are they telling us?
Yeah, Joe, we've actually seen a whole lot of polls that have been taken since that debate 2 weeks ago. And for the most part, the polls show that the race really hasn't budged all that much. Some polls like CNN show that the race is actually identical to where it was before the debate. And you have polls like the CBS YouGov poll that shows 1 point in direction for Donald Trump. The New York Times Siena poll shows 2 points in direction for Donald Trump. So if there has been some movement, it's been in Donald Trump's direction. But all of that movement is within the margin of error. Now, Joe, it is important to note that many polls showed Joe Biden trailing going into that debate, and that they still show him trailing, to me, is significant. And also, sometimes when you just have 1 or 2 point movement, that could actually be decisive in a race. But the data doesn't necessarily suggest that we have a radically transformed race after the debate.
So, of course, the big conversation has been about the president's mental fitness here. What are voters saying about the ability of each of them to serve as president?
Yeah, Savannah, we end up talking about, how the race hasn't changed that much in a lot of polls. But what has changed are just perceptions about President Biden's cognitive and mental health, which have actually gotten worse. There was a CBS News poll before the debate. 65% had big concerns about Biden's mental health and cognitive health to be president. Now that's jumped up after the debate to 72%. So that is kind of significant. What had been a liability for President Biden has gotten a little bit worse.
Of course, Mark, the national polls are one thing, but we do have an electoral college here. So let's zero in on the 7 key states that analysts say will play a big role in deciding who wins. What's the polling telling us about those battleground states?
Yeah, Joe, the best kind of group came from the Bloomberg Morning Consult poll, which actually kind of showed that the race was pretty much the same before the debate as it is after. But what is significant is that, the races where President Biden seems to be running better against Donald Trump are in those key states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. But in the states like Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada, President Biden had been trailing before the debate and trails in a lot of consensus afterwards. And it's worth noting that the really respected Cook Political Report ended up moving the states like Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia into the lean Republican category.
All right, Mark Murray breaking down the numbers for us. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Well, let's take a look at the Trump campaign now. There's only 4 more days until the start of the Republican National Convention, and the former president is back on the campaign trail and taking aim at President Biden. NBC's Garrett Hake has the details.
Former President Donald Trump back on the campaign trail, newly lashing out at President Biden's debate performance.
Joe's own party now wants him to throw in the towel and surrender the presidency after a single 90-minute performance.
Mr. Trump suggesting without evidence that President Biden's poor debate performance was the culmination of a collapsing Democratic cover-up.
They are all co-conspirators in the sinister plot to defraud the American public about the cognitive abilities of the man in the Oval Office.
The former president faced questions about his own mental fitness from within his own party as recently as the GOP primary.
But when you're dealing with the pressures of a presidency, we can't have someone else that we question whether they're mentally fit to do this.
Mr. Trump previewing the platform he'll promote at next week's Republican convention.
And on day one, we will begin the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. We have no choice.
And teasing his upcoming choice of a running mate, expected to come from a short list that includes Florida Senator Marco Rubio.
We know who our nominee is. He's going to be the next president of the United States, and his name is...
In a radio interview, Mr. Trump said he was, quote, pretty well set on his VP selection, but might wait even until the convention opens next week to announce his choice, drawing out the drama for maximum political impact.
All right, Garrett, thank you.
Maryland lawmakers are calling on the federal government to pay to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which collapsed in Baltimore after it was hit by a cargo ship. Now, in an NBC News exclusive, the sole survivor from that collapse is speaking out for the first time. More than 3 months later, he tells NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas how he had to fight for his life.
Hold all traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching. It just lost their steering.
When the cargo ship Dolly slammed into Baltimore's Key Bridge, causing it to collapse, 7 construction workers were hurled into the Patapsco River.
Like there is no bridge. Like there is no bridge.
6 of the workers would die, all but Julio Cervantes Suarez.
This image is frozen in your head? Sí. Why? ¿Por qué?
Porque es el barco que... It's the ship that destroyed 6 families, he says. For the first time, he's telling his story of survival. Just before 1:30 a.m., as the Dolly was making its way under the Key Bridge, Cervantes and his crew were on a break towards the middle of the bridge, eating in their vehicles.
There's a ship approaching. It just lost their steering. So until you get that under control, we got to stop all traffic.
Though police had been alerted, Cervantes says they had no idea the 947-foot-long vessel was about to hit the bridge. He says suddenly everything started to shake. He witnessed his co-workers all slide into the water one by one, and then so did he.
Do you remember what was going through your head as you're falling into the water?
I thought we might never get out, he says.
Did you pray? Did you scream?
Gracias a Dios. He says he thanked God, asked him to take care of his wife and family, and asked for forgiveness for everything he'd done. When the frigid water started to fill his truck cabin, he realized he was alive. And luckily, his car had manual windows. He rolled one down and got out of his truck. But there was another problem.
Do you know how to swim?
No sé nadar. Cervantes says he floated to a piece of the bridge lodged in the river and started to call out for his co-workers.
Alejandro, Dorian, Miguel.
But he heard nothing. Among those who died, his brother-in-law and his 18-year-old nephew, who he considered a son. He wishes he could have one last conversation with him and thank him for being part of his life.
Gracias por dejarme ser parte de su vida.
Lawyers representing 5 of the victims, including Cervantes, plan to file suit in the coming weeks against all companies involved with the ship. The NTSB has reported the ship had power trouble in the days leading to the disaster.
They had multiple issues, not just before hitting the bridge, but before even getting to this port.
Imagine being on a bridge and watching your friends and family members drop one by one by one before you.
Our thanks to Tom Yamas for bringing us that story.
Well, this morning, the weather story that won't cool down. Tens of millions of Americans from coast to coast are still under dangerous heat alerts. And now the record-breaking temperatures are being blamed for dozens of heat-related deaths in the U.S. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin is in Washington, D.C., where it is so hot. Look at this. An outdoor wax art installation of President Lincoln is melting.
Hey there, it's been absolutely sweltering here in Washington, D.C. I want you to check something out because this is the talk of this neighborhood. This is what remains of a waxwork replica of the Lincoln Memorial. It was installed outside this elementary school back in February. Now a melted mess. The artist tells us they always knew it could potentially melt. I mean, it is made of wax, just not this quickly. A stark illustration of just how hot it has been in the Capitol, and also to put things into consideration with this heat wave. I was speaking to the head of that summit, the NATO Security Summit. He's in charge of security here in the Capitol for dozens of world leaders, and in his mind, the greatest threat to that summit at this point is the heat, is these extreme temperatures, because these extreme temperatures can be deadly, contributing to more than 36 deaths across at least 6 states. We're also seeing some record temps continuing out west, with Las Vegas hitting at least 118 degrees on back-to-back days. Spare a thought for the folks in Houston. More than 1 million still without power after Hurricane Beryl caused damage. Remnants of that deadly storm also causing havoc in the Northeast, including 2 destructive tornadoes overnight in upstate New York. And speaking to doctors, they say that if you are suffering any symptoms of heat exhaustion, including muscle aches, headaches, the key here is to act quickly. Cool off as fast as you can. Stay inside and stay hydrated. Back to you.
Oh, what a visual, Aaron. Thank you so much.
Keep your candles inside, too. All right, let's get more from meteorologist Angie Lassman.
Angie, good morning.
Good morning. Good advice, Joe. Keep your candles inside. All right. We, no surprise, have plenty of these heat alerts. This has been ongoing. You heard Aaron talking about how impactful it's been over the past couple of days. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to have a whole lot in the way of relief over the next few days. Here's the deal right now. Plenty of alerts. 53 million people, including major cities of Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, L.A., Phoenix. You can see Houston also included in this, as well as Manchester. These are going to be spots that see temperatures be way above normal once again today and potentially record-breaking. Here's some of those records. Las Vegas, the record for this date, 116. We're expected to hit 118 there today. Palm Springs, maybe not a record, but still a pretty impressive afternoon high of 119 degrees. We've got Phoenix at 115. Again, not a record, but still really uncomfortable. Across the board here, up and down California and out towards the Rockies, Salt Lake City expected to hit 105 this afternoon. As we look ahead to the weekend, of course, lots of folks maybe have outdoor plans. We really, as I mentioned, don't have a whole lot of good news when it comes to dwindling temperatures. We've got 116 in Las Vegas on Friday, but notice what happens by the time we get to Sunday. A little bit of an improvement, but not much. We'll take what we can get at this point, but a high of 109 on Sunday for any plans that you have in that city. We've got 117 for Friday in Palm Springs, ending up at 111 by Sunday. Salt Lake City, more of the same. The triple digits are going to stay with us. So that's what's going on as far as the heat is concerned. We finally are dealing with some quieter conditions across parts of the Northeast after we saw quite an active afternoon, evening yesterday as those remnants of Beryl started to move offshore. We saw flooding issues. We saw severe weather potential. All of that is going to kind of wind down today. And you can already see on your satellite and radar doing just that. Much of that rain still draped across parts of Maine, but otherwise we're looking a little quieter for this region. We do still have some flood alerts in effect. We've finally gotten rid of some of those flash flood warnings that we had all morning long, but the flood watches are still up across parts of this region, stretching from New York up into Maine. So just a heads up there, we could still see some standing water on those roadways. So as you get out for your morning drive, something to watch for. That's the front that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. It's going to eventually stall and kind of be draped across parts of the East Coast. This leaves us a little unsettled in some spots. You can see specifically across parts of the mid-Atlantic. That's where we'll watch for some heavy rain to develop right near that low pressure system. The flooding will be probably an issue for folks here. It's not going to be anything like what we saw from Beryl, but it could still impact some of those afternoon plans. Not a great day to be at the beach, unfortunately, if that was on your docket for Saturday across that region. Rainfall amounts 1 to 3 inches, but I think a couple of spots, especially across parts of the coastal Carolinas, could see upwards of 5 inches. Meanwhile, out west, guys, it's hot. No surprise, that's not going to change. I mentioned that the humidity will stay in place too for the middle of the country, specifically the southeast, and that heavy rain will be something that we watch on Saturday across the east as well. We'll finally see some nicer conditions, quieter conditions for the northeast by the time Sunday rolls around. But the heat continues.
I was going to say, I'm all for the rain if it brings cooler temps,
True.
But it's not.
You know, the northeast, we're a little less humid today. We've seen a lot of the alerts across the southeast expire when it comes to heat, but the west, they just can't catch a break just yet.
And they need it.
They sure do.
Thank you so much. See you in a little bit.
Of course.
Coming up, much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, devices down. More states passing bans on phones in the classroom. Why supporters say it's a matter of mental health.
Up first, the U.S. sending more bombs to Israel after a 2-month pause. We'll bring you the latest. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back now with the investigation into the death of a student at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire over the weekend. Police are now looking into whether hazing may have played a role. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the latest.
Juan Zhang dreamt of winning a Nobel Prize. A biomedical engineering major at Dartmouth College, international student mentor, and guitar player in a band. Something he started with girlfriend Lydia Jin.
He was the brightest soul on this campus, and he did not deserve what happened to him.
On Sunday, Zhang's body was found 65 feet offshore in the Connecticut River. The 20-year-old was last seen the night before at a social gathering near the Dartmouth boathouse, according to authorities. Jin, who was not there, says he didn't know how to swim.
When we found out, it was horrible. There were all those stages of grief, and they all kind of happened all at the same time, except for the acceptance part.
While Hanover police say there are no signs of foul play, the chief has said they're looking into the potential of hazing and involvement of alcohol, though haven't released any evidence. Now, the 2 Greek organizations that attended the party, according to a source familiar with the investigation, have been suspended, including the fraternity Zhang was a member of, Beta Alpha Omega, which the school says was already on alcohol probation. The organization has not commented. As investigators seek answers, Jin hopes for change.
Hopefully there will be measures taken at some point so that this will never happen again to anyone, and no one will have to suffer like he did or like we are right now.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
Now let's go to Great Britain, where a suspect has been arrested in a series of alleged fatal crossbow attacks. 3 women were killed in their home in East England, prompting an intense 24-hour manhunt for the killer. NBC's Danielle Hamamdjian is in London with the latest.
The suspect in a triple murder suspected of wielding a crossbow is in custody. The suspect, 26-year-old Kyle Clifford, now in hospital after allegedly carrying out what police are calling a targeted attack. It happened in this normally quiet, leafy neighborhood 20 miles north of London, which is now the scene of the triple murder investigation. The victims, all women, and all are believed to belong to the same family, according to police. The BBC has identified them as Carol, Hannah, and Louise Hunt, the wife and daughters of British sports commentator John Hunt. They were found in a home on Tuesday night and died shortly after police arrived on the scene. Authorities believe the suspect was known to the victims and believe that in addition to a crossbow, other weapons may have been used. In the end, Clifford was located in a London cemetery near his home, with police stressing that no shots were fired, though the suspect was found with injuries. Schools had gone into lockdown and members of the public were urged not to approach the suspect.
We've can't remember a murder in our rather quiet neck of the woods.
Homicides by crossbow are rare here, but there have been cases, fewer than 10 over a decade. A review of UK laws was announced after a man tried to kill Her late Majesty, Queen Elizabeth. He had attempted to break into Windsor Castle with a loaded crossbow. The suspect is now receiving medical treatment, and police say they're not looking for anyone else in connection with the investigation.
All right, Danielle, thank you.
More international news now, starting with new developments with the Israel-Hamas war.
Claudio Labonga joins us from Rome with that and more. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. A U.S. official said that the United States are going to resume shipping 500-pound bombs to Israel, effectively ending a 3-month pause the Biden administration imposed on them following concerns about their impact on civilian casualties in Gaza. Well, meanwhile, Israeli planes have dropped handouts across Gaza City, urging Palestinians to evacuate to the south, signaling that the fighting there will likely continue after 9 months of war. Now we go to the United Arab Emirates, where 43 people have been sentenced to life in prison after a mass trial found them guilty of terror offenses. This trial has been widely criticized by human rights activists abroad who claim the UAE is just targeting dissidents. Several other defendants are also received long prison terms. And we end this tour of the world in London, where King Charles III has sent his congratulations to England's soccer team following their win against Netherlands in the Euro 2024 semi-final last night. Well, he jokingly urged the team to win the final without needing late goals or penalties for the sake of the nation's stress levels. England will face Spain in the final of the Euro 2024 this Sunday in Berlin, and I will be watching.
The king says it, then you got to do it.
I know, right?
So
no pressure.
No choice
Talk about
now.
stress levels. Claudia,
No stress.
thank you.
Coming up, more students shutting down their screens as several states move forward with phone bans at public schools.
When we come back, we'll bring you the latest on those efforts. You are watching Morning News Now. Welcome back. Virginia has now joined other states in cracking down on cell phones in the classroom. Governor Glenn Youngkin issued an executive order earlier this week requiring the Virginia Department of Education to come up with policy guidance for creating a phone-free learning environment that would go into effect at the beginning of the next calendar year.
Youngkin also announced plans to invest $500,000 to support this effort, which he says is both a mental health and a safety issue.
For more on this, we are joined by family and clinical psychologist Dr. Jennifer Hartstein. Dr. Hartstein, good morning. Always great to have you here. So first, as a mental health professional, what are some of your initial thoughts? Just seeing some state governments get so hands-on with this issue, what can you tell us about how much phones do interfere with kids' learning?
Well, they interfere a lot. Think about what it does for adults, right? They're major distractions. So when we're in a school setting, even if the phone is on silent, kids are often checking them, looking at them. And the truth of the matter is we can't multitask. We task switch. So kids are looking at their phone and then paying attention in class. So what are they missing in that educational process that they need to build greater skills over time?
I mean, clearly kids are growing up in a different world than the previous generation did. Some kids are using artificial intelligence to write their homework. Not great, but they're doing it. Technology is just part of our minute-to-minute existence. So how do we balance that? This is part of our lives right now. It feels like you could be going against the tide in some ways, right?
Well, I think you used the key word here, Joe, which is balance, right? I think what we have not done a great job of is teaching that overall. And I think the bans are a kind of way to move back to the other side. But ultimately, we're going to have to settle in the middle because we are moving towards more and more and more tech. Homework is on. They find out that their homework assignments are online, all of these things. So like, where does that end? So I think the balance piece of it is where we're ultimately going to need the most leverage and to lean into the most.
The other thing, of course, is how this impacts the youth mental health crisis. That was even mentioned in this particular executive order. Do you think these anti-phone policies make a difference in that regard to kids' development, happiness, these feelings of loneliness? How can this help?
I think that we don't know yet what the difference will be, but I do think we have to make some changes, right? We know that there is a youth mental health crisis. We know that much of it aligns with the influence of social media and how much we're living life out loud and how kids are not equipped to handle that. Adults are not equipped to handle that, let's be honest, right? So how are we expecting kind of developing brains to do that? So again, what are we teaching? It goes back to, I think, what are we teaching at home? What are we teaching in schools? How are we teaching how to interpret all of these things so that we can teach kids to really understand and navigate it better, because it's not going to go away. So we need to learn how to live with it, not against it.
We talked about it a moment ago, balance. Easier said than done. I mean, what are some ways families and schools can actually find that healthy balance when it comes to phone use among kids?
I think that this is the lesson we're all trying to figure out. So I think some of it is understanding and identifying what are the rules in your own home as the adults, and what are the limits you have for yourself, and how are you modeling that? That starts with you as the adult, and we teach our kids that. That can translate into schools. Some teachers use phones within the educational process. How are we building it in to teach where it's helpful and to teach where it's harmful? And I think ultimately, you guys, the key thing here is, are we talking to our kids about what they're looking at? So are we asking them to show us? Are we teaching them what's healthy, what's unhealthy? We just kind of hand them computers and they have them in their pocket and expect them to know what to do. We wouldn't hand them car keys. So let's teach them responsible ways to utilize that technology so that they don't have all of these mental health issues moving forward.
Dr. Jennifer Hartstein, we appreciate you as always. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up, a warning from doctors about nicotine pouches made popular by social media.
They're being billed as a safer way to get your nicotine fix, but there are some risks. What you need to know coming up next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with growing health concerns due to a spike in use of nicotine pouches, something that's placed between the upper lip and gums. Well, social media influencers have been promoting them, causing doctors to warn they are becoming dangerously popular among teens and young adults. NBC News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen brings us more on the risks you should know about.
Zyn is probably a great alternative to get nicotine without all the other harmful stuff.
On social media, they're called Zynfluencers, people touting nicotine pouches promoted as safer than cigarettes because they're tobacco-free.
Let's do 3.
The most popular brand, Zyn, surging in sales with 131 million cans sold in the U.S. in just the first 3 months of the year.
How did it make you feel the first time you had one?
It gives you a shot of dopamine, so you just feel a little energized, happier, almost focused.
32-year-old Will Lamas says he quickly became addicted to Zyn. Unlike chewing tobacco, vapes, or traditional cigarettes, the pouches are discreet and come in flavors like coffee, citrus, and mint. Soon, he says he was using up to 20 a day.
You put it in your lip, just inside, and just leave it there for 30 minutes.
After a year, Will began to have severe stomach pain, but doctors didn't know why.
I got an ultrasound. I got a colonoscopy, and all they found was that my stomach was inflamed.
His symptoms are not surprising to Dr. Donna Shelley. She says nicotine is a highly addictive drug with side effects including gastrointestinal issues, mouth ulcers, and elevated heart rate.
Why do you think these products are so popular with young people and teenagers?
One is flavors. Also, it's easier to hide that you're using a pouch.
While the FDA is still reviewing the safety of Zyn and similar products, multiple medical organizations have asked the agency to halt sales. Earlier this year, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also called for a crackdown on the marketing of these products.
Even the amount in this one pouch can be highly addictive.
In a statement, Zyn maker Philip Morris says it's committed to developing products such as Zyn that are scientifically substantiated as a better alternative to continued smoking. Zyn's marketing is directed toward legal age nicotine users who are 21 and up.
The gray line was my resting heart rate while I was on Zyn. The red line, a week after, was my average resting heart rate from quitting. It showed me 10 beats per minute lower the week after I quit.
After researching his symptoms online, Will suspected the pouches.
Haven't had stomach issues since the day I quit, cold turkey.
6 months later, he says he still has cravings.
If I had known that it was going to cause me so many health issues, I wouldn't have started.
Vicki Nguyen, NBC News, Stamford, Connecticut.
High prices are impacting just about everyone, but a new report from Bank of America shows that today's prices are actually hitting Gen Z adults the hardest.
Yeah, they found that more than half of the adults they surveyed from 18 to 27 say that those prices are the top reason they can't find financial success.
Here to help us break down highlights of the report is Bank of America's president of retail banking, Holly O'Neill. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So the survey shows nearly half of Gen Zers still getting financial help from their parents. Just how hard is it for younger generations to build wealth right now in 2024?
We're hearing from Gen Z that it is hard. It's disproportionately hard. As you said, over half of them feel that it's a barrier to success. So they're feeling the high cost of living. And what it's causing them, they're delaying big milestones. So Half of them are not on track to buy a home. 46% of them haven't started saving for retirement. And about 40% of them also don't see themselves saving or investing. So they are delaying some of those big milestones that you have early in your life.
Like you just said, they're not saving, many of them, almost a third, in fact, but they say that they would like to. They just don't have enough money to do that. For those who are trying to prioritize their finances, what did you learn about how Gen Z is dealing with this, with these high prices and trying to make those ends meet?
There's some good news here. Gen Z is definitely adjusting their spending. So they're spending less. They're trying to spend less of their disposable income. They're changing their lifestyle. They're dining out less. They're skipping events with friends, and they're shopping at more affordable grocery stores. So the good news is they know they need a path, and they're adjusting their spending to help them get there.
Of course, these issues don't just impact you today. It can have a major impact on your future plans. So looking at this survey, how does Gen Z feel about reaching its financial goals? If they can't save now, what can that mean for your future finances?
Well, I always tell Gen Z they have to start by creating a budget. So even if they're experiencing the high cost of living today, they can create a budget. They can get out there, set themselves some financial goals, buying a home, starting to save for retirement. They can seek out financial education. And I always advise start saving early, even if it is a small amount on a weekly or a monthly basis.
What are the top ways you advise young adults to get on the right financial track, even though the cost of living is so high? Maybe their rent's super high and they just don't know how to even start.
Sure. So the budget is step number one. And a good guideline for your budget is 50% of your take-home pay on the essentials: rent, utilities, food. Second is 30% on some of the discretionary spending, going out, entertainment. And then 20% is for emergency savings. So that is a great way to start. Set a budget. The 50, 30, 20 guidelines is a good place to start.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good starting point as well. And just at the beginning, just see where it's going, organize your spending, and then you can kind of see if you're in that way or if you need to adjust other areas.
It's definitely tricky.
That's right.
So those are great tips.
Yeah. Holly O'Neill, thanks for joining us and bringing us that useful advice. We appreciate it.
Thanks for.
Let's stay on some money news this morning. A recent survey finds most Americans are feeling the impact of rising energy bills.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau has that and other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. Yeah, so nearly 80% of adults say their finances have been impacted by rising energy costs. Now, a new survey from CNET finds just over a third of Americans are more worried about their home energy costs this summer, and roughly 30% are relying on financing or payment plans to cover those costs. They're also taking steps to try to reduce their energy bills by using energy efficient products, a smart or programmable thermostat, insulating their home, and using smart plugs or outlets. Meanwhile, Costco is raising its membership fee for the first time since 2017. The basic Gold Star membership will go up by $5 to $65 a year, while the executive membership will rise by $10 to $130 a year. The changes go into effect in September and will affect about 52 million members. Costco has typically raise membership fees every 5 years or so. The company has telegraphed this move for months, saying last fall it was a question of when, not if. And joy meet elation. Inside Out 2 is now the highest grossing film in Pixar's history. The family film has earned $1.25 billion worldwide, just edging past Incredibles 2. It's also now the fourth highest grossing animated movie of all time, behind Frozen, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Frozen 2, guys. I still haven't seen it, but I want to go see it. I'm going to take my nephew.
Yeah. I do too. It's so cool. It's doing well.
Is Rich in emotion? Because Pixar is breaking it in. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Savannah, thank you.
Coming up, speaking of, $1 billion donation with priceless results.
When we come back, we will introduce you to one of the many students now able to attend med school for free. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. If you were a kid who dreamed of having your very own dinosaur, Turns out it's not too late. Sotheby's is auctioning a 150-million-year-old Stegosaurus skeleton named Apex. It's the largest and most complete Stegosaurus ever found at 11 feet tall, 27 feet long. The skeleton was discovered in 2022 in Colorado's Morrison Formation. If you're interested in bidding, starts next week at $3 million, could reach as high as $6 million. What do you say? Let's all chip in.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they're auctioning it. It seems like it should be in a museum.
It does feel like that, but, you know, maybe it could be the News Now mascot or something.
Love it.
All right.
We'll put it right over there. Thanks, Joe. We end this hour with a look at the life-changing billion-dollar donation at Johns Hopkins Medical School. Yes, you heard that right. $1 billion. It's making tuition completely free for the majority of students. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber brings us the incredible story of one incoming med student and how this life-changing gift will help her live out her dream and the dreams of her immigrant parents.
Medical school is notoriously taxing. It's mentally, emotionally, and financially demanding. But for med students at Johns Hopkins, the cost, suddenly zero.
My roommates woke up to a loud scream.
Bloomberg Philanthropies announcing a $1 billion donation to the medical school, making education free for most current and future students.
America needs doctors, and we need the best minds in medicine. And so this gift that Mike Bloomberg had is going to help us, as I said before, find those students, those brilliant students who might have otherwise not gone to medical school.
100% of tuition will be covered for families making less than $300,000 a year. That's 95% of households in the country. And for families who make $175,000 or less each year, living expenses and other fees will also be covered. The massive donation changing the lives of students like Nancy Chen.
Initially, when I read the email that was sent out, I thought it was fake.
Chen grew up in North Carolina, a first-generation American who worked at her parents' Chinese restaurant. And her dream of becoming a doctor started at a young age when she would act as the family's translator.
I'm coming from a lower income background, and I know what it was like as a patient in the hospital, trying to translate for my parents who didn't have insurance.
Have you thought about the possibility of seeing another family like yours, another 10-year-old like you, and you being the doctor that's in that room and being able to tell that kid who maybe looks a lot like you and reminds you of yourself, don't worry, I've got this?
Oh, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. That is exactly how I want to be as a doctor.
Her dream, getting closer last year when she was accepted into her top choice, Johns Hopkins Medical School.
Congratulations and welcome to Johns Hopkins class of 2028.
The sacrifices of her parents paying off.
For the past year, the first thing that came out of his mouth is, my daughter's going to Hopkins for medical school.
But at close to $100,000 a year, cost would be an issue for Chen and her family. Then she found out she'd get financial aid.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It covered about 80% of her tuition, but she'd still need to take out tens of thousands of dollars in student loans.
And that still kind of loomed over my head.
With Bloomberg's donation, she won't have to worry. All of her expenses are entirely paid for.
I was with my mom at that time, and I just looked at her, and she was like, what? And I just like, I think I'm not gonna be in debt.
And in a few years, when she's Dr. Nancy Chen, she plans to be the physician her family always needed.
What do you hope other families, patients, kids of patients will say when they leave an interaction with you?
Just a thank you is enough. I just want to be able to know that I had, no matter how big of an impact on their lives, I really hope that it was a positive impact.
All thanks to a gift that truly keeps on giving.
Oh my goodness. Just so amazing to hear her story.
And what that means for her now to not have to worry about any of that college debt and can be the best doctor imaginable.
God, and so many students in the same position at that school. Just amazing. Our thanks to Ellison Barber for bringing us her story.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this Thursday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, cranking up the pressure. President Biden taking center stage for a solo news conference at the NATO summit in Washington today. The stakes are high, with more Democratic lawmakers calling on him to step aside in the election. But former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the ball is in the president's court.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
We'll have more on the concerns surrounding the president's candidacy as Hollywood actor and major donor George Clooney says Biden should step aside. It's not just the president feeling the heat this morning. Millions of Americans are sweltering amid record-breaking temperatures. But the extreme weather is taking on a different form in upstate New York, which was hit by 2 tornadoes overnight. We'll have the latest on the dangerous weather conditions. Alec Baldwin is back in court for his criminal trial centered on the Rust movie set shooting. What the jury heard about the deadly incident as opening statements get underway. Plus, an American Airlines plane forced to abandon its flight after video shows a back tire appearing to break apart on the runway. Comes just days after a United Airlines plane lost a wheel during takeoff. The latest on yet another flight scare. Good to have you with us on this Thursday. We're going to begin this hour with a major public test for President Biden. Later today at the NATO summit, he is set to hold his first solo news conference in months.
Yeah, the high-pressure conference on the world stage could make or break the president's faltering election campaign as more Democratic lawmakers call on him to step aside. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest.
Good morning. Aides here tell me President Biden's been prepping for this evening's news conference throughout the week while juggling his duties hosting world leaders here at the NATO summit. And it comes at another crucial moment amid more Democratic dissent. The first sitting senator and now 9 House Democrats saying publicly that the president should step aside, making today another major unscripted test.
President Biden preparing for perhaps the biggest day of his presidency after a night of pageantry with America's NATO allies.
May we continue to grow stronger and closer in all the years ahead.
As his standing as leader of the free world is again coming under scrutiny. The first Senate Democrat to publicly call for President Biden to step aside, Vermont's Peter Welch, urging him to withdraw for the good of the country. All eyes now on Democratic Party leadership. Axios reporting the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, one of the president's closest allies, is privately signaling to donors that he's open to a Democratic presidential ticket without President Biden, citing 3 people familiar with the matter. The majority leader later writing, "As I have made clear repeatedly, publicly and privately, I support President Biden." Earlier, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi causing waves in Washington.
It's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
Her comments raising eyebrows because the president has repeatedly said he has made his decision.
I'm staying in the race.
Other key allies also not saying President Biden's decision is final.
That's the question that you have to ask President Biden.
Is his decision final?
I had no idea. You have to ask him.
Even as he maintains support from key corners of his coalition, including influential labor unions like the AFL-CIO. But in another big blow to the president yesterday, Hollywood heavyweight George Clooney, a major Democratic donor, says the party needs a new nominee. Just weeks after co-hosting a star-studded fundraiser for him, writing in the New York Times, "The Joe Biden I was with 3 weeks ago at the fundraiser was not the Joe Biden of 2010. He wasn't even the Joe Biden of 2020. He was the same man we all witnessed at the debate." Adding he loves President Biden, but we are not going to win in November with this president. This is the opinion of every senator and Congress member and governor who I've spoken with in private, irrespective of what he or she is saying publicly.
President Biden's allies are fighting back. A source familiar with the planning for that Clooney fundraiser tells NBC News the president stayed for over 3 hours while Clooney, they say, took a photo quickly and left. Also this morning, aides here are arguing despite the president's poor debate performance exactly 2 weeks ago, the fundamentals of this race, they say, have not changed. And a new Washington Post poll shows among registered voters, this remains a dead heat. But other recent polling has shown Mr. Trump gaining an advantage in several key battleground states. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you very much. And on a coverage note, make sure you tune in to Lester Holt's exclusive interview with President Biden on Monday. You can watch a preview on NBC Nightly News at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. And then the full unedited interview will air in a primetime special at 9 p.m. on NBC and NBC News Now.
After that, stay with NBC News for special coverage of the Republican National Convention. That is at 9:30 p.m. Now, as the NATO summit enters its final day, there is growing concern for the health and safety of those in the nation's capital and beyond. D.C. is one of several cities in the U.S. still under dangerous heat alerts. Well, out west, officials are predicting dozens of new daily high temperature records today and tomorrow, some as high as 120 degrees. These sweltering temps are spawning a summer of deadly weather all across the country. NBC News correspondent Erin McLaughlin is live in Washington, where she's tracking the extreme weather. Erin, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. You said it. It's been absolutely sweltering here in Washington, D.C. In fact, I want to show you something. This has been the talk of this neighborhood. You are looking at what remains of a massive waxwork replica of the Lincoln Memorial. It was installed outside of this elementary school back in February. Now a melted mess. The artist tells us, she expected it to melt somewhat, given that it is wax, just not this quickly. And it's a stark example of just how hot it is.
This morning, across the country, a long-lasting summer heat wave.
It's been hot. It's a scorcher.
Humidity's killer. I had a heat exhaustion like 2 weeks ago because I was stupid enough to bike to work.
The heat has likely contributed to nearly 36 deaths across 6 states. Among the victims, a probationary police officer in New York City who is set to graduate from the academy.
How dangerous is this heat wave?
We've been seeing a lot of severe illness from this heat wave. Patients can pass away from heat stroke and from excessive heat exposure.
And it's combined with a wave of severe weather after Hurricane Beryl. 2 destructive tornadoes hitting overnight in upstate New York. Out west, temperature records continue to fall, with Las Vegas hitting at least 118 degrees on back-to-back days. While in Houston, more than 1 million people are suffering without any AC after Beryl knocked out power earlier this week. And for some, the lights may not be back on anytime soon.
It's done significant damage to our facilities. We're going to have to rebuild it, and that's going to take time.
Doctors say if you are suffering from symptoms of heat exhaustion like melted Abe over here, the key is to act fast. Symptoms including muscle aches, headaches, fatigue. They say get inside and cool down as quickly as you can and stay hydrated. Joe.
Some good advice. It looks like Han Solo there. I mean, sort of from like, giving me some Star Wars vibes. I don't know. It's like...
It is something to behold, I'll tell you.
It really is. Now, if the real Lincoln Memorial does that, then we know we're in trouble. All right, Erin, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
The legs. It's the legs, I think, that are getting me. Let's bring in Angie Lassman. She's tracking the latest on where all this extreme weather is headed in the coming days.
Hey, Angie, good morning.
Guys, I didn't have a melted Abe Lincoln on my bingo card today, but here we are with all of this heat, still something we're going to be talking about, mostly focused across parts of the West over the next day or so. But we do still have some of these heat alerts, of course, in Texas, where we know that folks are still dealing with no power ever since Beryl. We've got 53 million people, though, including the West, as I mentioned, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Phoenix, you name it. Out West, we're dealing with temperatures well above where they should be for this time of year, and potentially some record-breaking spots. One of those, Las Vegas, 118 is what we're expecting to hit later this afternoon. That would break the record for this date of 116. We'll likely see that happen. Salt Lake City, similar story there. 105 is what we're expecting. Colorado, we likely, in places like Denver, only see about 2 days over 100 each year. We're going to have multiple days in a row where they'll see 100-plus temperatures. So that just tells you how impressive this heat wave is, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. We're going to see this stick with us at least through the weekend. Las Vegas staying above 109 from basically Friday through Sunday. We'll see 117 in Palm Springs on Friday, down to 111 on Sunday. So not much improvement, even as far north as Salt Lake City. We did see some improvement when it comes to the Pacific Northwest. Some of that heat has broken. It's still a little above average, but nothing like what we were dealing with in the past days, and nothing like what they're dealing with across parts of the Southwest, up and down California and points east of there. Meanwhile, the rain rain that you may have run into earlier this morning in the early hours of the morning for parts of the Northeast, that's on the way out. We've had quite an active couple of days when it comes to flooding and the severe storms. All of that is going to kind of wind down for this region as we get through the rest of your day today, but then we'll start to see things kind of focused a little farther to the south. But in the meantime, as you head out this morning, still a million people under these flood alerts as that rain starts to work its way out. By midday, I think most of it will be gone, but you might run into a couple of spots that are still dealing with some ponding on the roadways and such. This is the area that we're going to be closely watching here as we get into the weekend, because we have a front that kind of stalls and leaves us with the potential for some really heavy rain to develop, especially across parts of the mid-Atlantic through the weekend. It's not just a Friday thing. It lasts into Saturday, too, and the flooding is going to once again be possible. I think if you're trying to get to the beach on Saturday, potentially in this region, not the best day for it. Maybe some indoor plans are going to be a better bet for you. But from Cape Cod down to Cape Hatteras, that's where we're going to be watching for some of that kind of unsettled weather. And by the time it's all said and done, as we get through Saturday, could see some impressive amounts, maybe up to 5 inches in some localized locations, but I think more widespread, 1 inch to 3 inches, especially the closer to the coast that you go. Now, the weekend, big picture look. Hot across basically the Rockies and points west. If you're going to be out and about, we mentioned those triple-digit temperatures. We'll also see high humidity across parts of the southeast. We've got temperatures in the mid-80s across parts of the Great Lakes, and that heavy rain that I mentioned will be in the picture for the extreme portions of the East Coast. The heat wave stays with us out west. Guys, I'm a broken record when it comes, no pun intended. I'm a broken record with the heat out west. That's going to stay with us, but we'll also see really elevated temperatures across the middle of the country. Mid-80s are going to be there for the Great Lakes. We've got hot and humid conditions across parts of the Gulf Coast, and then that rain will be in the picture from parts of the southeast here as we get into Sunday. Still sizzling, though, out west. Again, like, this is not going to let up anytime soon. If you have outdoor plans this weekend, you're going to be dealing with triple digits and beyond.
Those temperatures are just unreal.
They're impressive, and normally we see, you know, a little bit of relief after a couple of days,
Right.
but it's just not letting up just yet.
And if you have those outdoor plans, stay safe.
Yes, extra water and all that good stuff.
Thanks, Angie.
Of course.
Now for an NBC News exclusive. It's now been a little more than 3 months since a cargo ship struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, sending it crashing down and killing 6 construction workers. Now, the only worker who survived that fall is sharing his story for the first time with NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas. Comes as lawmakers on Capitol Hill debate who should pay to rebuild the bridge.
The whole center span is gone completely. It's in the water.
When police first arrived on the scene of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse, even they were in shock.
There is no bridge. There is no bridge.
Looking up from the dark waters that night, clinging to a submerged chunk of bridge, Julio Cervantes Suarez couldn't believe he was alive.
Do you remember what was going through your head as you're falling into the water?
Sí. Cervantes says when his truck fell from near the center of the bridge, he thought he would never get out. He had been working that night fixing potholes with his crew. When the dolly hit the bridge, the men were all in their vehicles on a break. On impact, he says suddenly everything started to shake. He saw his co-workers all launch into the water. That's when he started to pray.
Gracias a Dios.
He says he asked God to take care of his wife and kids and asked for forgiveness. His vehicle fell nearly 18 stories to the water below, but luckily the windows were manual, allowing him to roll one down and escape from his truck. But there was another problem, a big one.
Do you know how to swim? No sé nadar.
Cervantes says he managed to float out to a piece of the bridge lodged in the river and started to call out for his co-workers, including his brother-in-law and nephew, but heard nothing.
Alejandro, Dorian, Miguel. At that point, do you realize that your friends and family have not made it? Cuando íbamos cayendo.
He says he knew when they fell in and no one answered, they were gone.
It was a human tragedy. They each had loved ones who depended upon them.
On Capitol Hill Tuesday, Maryland senators pressing Congress to cover the full $1.7 billion price tag to replace the Key Bridge.
A foreign vessel hit an American bridge and killed Americans, and they have asked the court to not be held responsible.
In May, a preliminary NTSB report said the dolly had power issues in the days ahead of the disaster. In the coming weeks, Cervantes and the other victims' families are planning to file suit against all of the companies involved with the ship.
He ingested all of that bad water. He has torn meniscus. He has other kind of psychological problems that he's going to deal with forever.
The sole survivor of an unimaginable tragedy.
Why do you think you survived?
No lo sé.
Saying he doesn't know, but believes there is a bigger plan for him.
Our thanks to Tom Yamas for bringing us that story. Cervantes told Tom he thinks the helmet he was wearing with a flashlight on it helped rescue workers find him in the dark. Maryland state officials hope to have that Baltimore bridge rebuilt by 2028.
Now to the latest on Alec Baldwin's criminal trial. The jury hearing opening statements as the state attempts to prove the actor is guilty of involuntary manslaughter for that fatal shooting on the set of his movie Rust. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas was in the courtroom. She joins us now from Santa Fe with the latest here. Chloe, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Things got heated yesterday in the courtroom between the New Mexico special prosecutors and Baldwin's legal defense team. And really, both sides are laying out their cases as to how they think that gun went off and what happened on the set of Rust in 2021.
What they're doing right now, this is a crime scene.
The jury in Alec Baldwin's criminal trial has now seen the frantic aftermath on the set of Rust, where the film's cinematographer Helena Hutchins was fatally shot in October 2021.
We went through and through on her, through the chest.
This was an unspeakable tragedy, but Alec Baldwin committed no crime. He was an actor acting.
Baldwin, who faces a single count of involuntary manslaughter, listened intently during opening statements on Wednesday. His wife, Ilaria, brother Stephen, and sister Elizabeth all in the courtroom. And for the first time, the actor's defense argued even if Baldwin meant to fire the gun, he should not be found guilty.
Even if he intentionally pulled the trigger, that doesn't make him guilty of homicide. He did not know or have any reason to know that gun was loaded with a live bullet.
Still, they maintained the gun accidentally discharged, and Baldwin has repeatedly and publicly denied he pulled the trigger.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
The prosecution hoping to convince the jury he was negligent with the firearm during filming.
He cocks the hammer, points it straight at Miss Hutchins, and fires that gun.
But the defense outlining the crux of their case, that it was not Baldwin's job as an actor to ensure the gun was safe.
There were people responsible for ensuring the safety of the set and the firearm. Those people failed in their duties.
His lawyers playing a portion of a 911 call in which the caller faults the assistant director, Dave Hulls.
It's his f***ing ID. He's supposed to check the guns. He's responsible for what happened.
While one investigator testified multiple live rounds were found on set, the defense has worked to distance Baldwin from blame. Still, prosecutors insist the veteran actor did not follow industry standards.
These set safety rules require actors, like the defendant, to treat every firearm as though it's loaded, to never point a firearm at another person.
So after opening statements, we heard from some of the first responders that were on the scene that day when Helena Hutchins and Joel Souza were shot by that bullet. And, you know, things got heated when the jury would leave the courtroom, and you could see Baldwin taking notes, and he was intently listening throughout most of the day, especially when his team was up there. And then also in the courtroom, like I just said in my piece, were some of his family members, his wife, his brother Stephen, his sister Elizabeth. So he's getting a lot of support from his family, guys.
All right, Chloe Malas, thank you very much and happy birthday. Thank you for joining us today.
Let's talk more about what we can expect from the trial with NBC News legal analyst Angela Senadella. So prosecutors in their opening statement trying to describe Baldwin as reckless. Talk about this argument. Is it effective?
Yeah, so recklessness is a formula. It breaks down to two parts. First, you have to prove that there is a responsibility this person had. And the second part, that that person shirked that responsibility, didn't fulfill it. So we're going to see in this trial so much debate over that first part. What were Baldwin's responsibilities as a defendant, as an actor on that set? And it's so interesting. We saw prosecution's opening statement where she said he broke the cardinal rules of gun safety. So setting it up that there were rules that he broke. So we can expect them to see, or we can expect that they will be called a witness who will say there's three things that he should have done differently. First, that he should have checked the gun. Second, he shouldn't have pointed it ever at someone. And third, that he shouldn't have put his hand anywhere near the trigger if he didn't intend to pull it.
Okay, well, how is it possible, though, for him to not point the gun at someone when you're seeing them point guns at each other in a movie?
So the prosecution has already foreshadowed that the director apparently just told him to pull it slowly out of the holster, didn't tell him to point it at anybody. So the argument here is that if he was going to point it at somebody as indicated by the script, then he should have definitely checked it. That is the prosecution's argument at this point.
I see. Help us understand the difference here between involuntary manslaughter and murder. What is the difference in what needs to be proved for those two charges?
Yes, so huge difference. And the biggest difference there is intent. So with manslaughter, you do not have to prove that he intended to kill Helena Hutchins. All that the prosecution has to prove is that he was reckless, meaning he deviated from that standard of responsibility and that resulted in this woman's death.
Right now, Baldwin is not on the witness list. What are the odds that he testifies? What would be the risks of doing that?
Well, we know that no criminal defense attorney would advise a defendant like this to go take the stand, but it is his constitutional right. But there is a bigger risk in this case than in any other case, and that's because pre-trial there was this hearing and the judge decided that he could only be tried as an actor in this case, not at all as a producer. But if Baldwin takes a stand and starts talking about what he did as a producer, that could then open the door according to the rules of evidence and allow the prosecution then to try him and bring in evidence of him as a producer. As we know there, the responsibilities of a producer, much bigger, because then you could be responsible for safety on the set.
Baldwin aside, let's talk about the other witnesses that are being called. We heard about some of them, 4 so far in Chloe's piece. Who else are we expecting to hear from?
So we're going to hear from 2 groups. One is people who claim that there is this standard of responsibility. So experts saying that this is what people should or should not have done on a movie set. And then second, the camp is going to be people who were there that day, people who saw it and can testify to whether or not he fulfilled that responsibility or did not. So key, we know, is the assistant director, Dave Halls, who took a plea agreement under the condition that he would testify. Now, I actually think, though, that he might help Baldwin because he's the one who yelled out cold gun, and he's the one who Baldwin relied upon. Now, the biggest question, though, is will Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer, testify? She's on the list, but she could just plead the fifth, in which case the prosecution might not even find her helpful, so might not put her up on the stand.
All right, we'll see what happens. Angeles and Adela, thank you so much.
Fascinating. Thank you very much. Coming up, flight grounded.
Passengers on an American Airlines flight got quite the scare after tires appeared to blow off during takeoff. Details of that worrying incident next. We're back with yet another close call aboard one of the country's most popular planes. An American Airlines flight from Tampa to Phoenix was forced to abort just moments before taking off. That's because 2 tires blew as the plane was leaving the runway. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock is at Miami International Airport with the latest. Sam, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. It was a matter of seconds. This mechanical mishap happens, Joe, as the plane is about to take off. You see the aircraft, Joe, kind of dip and then smoke pouring out from the back of the tires. Now, a woman that was on that plane said things were fine. Then it felt like we were driving on a gravel road. Then it felt like we hit a pothole. The flight was aborted minutes before takeoff.
Whoa! On a Tampa tarmac, absolute chaos Wednesday morning when the more than 170 passengers on board Flight 590 felt the plane lose control and smoke started streaming from the tires.
Blown tire! Rolling trucks, rolling trucks, rolling trucks!
Emergency responders and fire trucks arriving minutes later on what was supposed to be a routine flight from Tampa to Phoenix. The Boeing 737 just preparing to leave the ground when American Airlines said Flight 590 experienced a mechanical issue on the runway prior to taking off. Customers safely deplaned and were bused to the terminal. Sherry Blankenship was one of those passengers.
All of a sudden, it felt like that we were on a gravel road, like a back road. Then it felt like we hit a big pothole.
Video shot by a YouTube user, Stephen Markovich, shows the tire sparking, then catching fire, filling the air with smoke and leaving debris on the runway.
Emergency, emergency, emergency!
The FAA confirming in a statement that the crew reported multiple blown tires and that the agency will investigate. For Blankenship and her granddaughter, sitting right above the tires, the whole ordeal was pretty terrifying.
It was very scary. It was very, very scary. And I'm still not completely normalized from the whole experience this morning.
Apparently, when we were going down the runway, I just woke up and I heard a bunch of loud noises, like really rough noises, and I was like, "What is that?"
This most recent incident coming just 2 days after a United flight leaving LAX lost a wheel during takeoff. And in March, another United plane lost its wheel after departing from San Francisco. The falling tire actually damaging several cars in a nearby parking lot. A trio of incidents.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Forcing flyers to take notice.
And all three of those incidents are now under FAA investigation. And guys, according to that passenger, Sherry, they were on the plane on the tarmac for 3 hours before they were able to finally return and make their way to their final destination. She was going to Phoenix, and that woman said, next time I'm just renting a car from a rental company and driving from Florida to Arizona. Back to you guys.
That speaks volumes right there. All right, Sam, thank you.
Turning now to Milwaukee, where police are investigating the moments leading up to the death of a 43-year-old black man.
Cell phone footage from June 30th captured Hyatt Regency security members holding Devontae Mitchell down as he screamed for help. Officials are now treating the case as a homicide. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda joins us now with more on this. Emily, good morning.
Hey there, guys. Good morning to you. Questions are swirling around what led up to this fatal encounter with Devontae Mitchell, whose death has prompted comparisons to George Floyd. Now, 11 days later, he will be laid to rest today, still without closure for the family.
This morning, the death of a Wisconsin man that has drawn outrage, now being reviewed by the Milwaukee District Attorney as a homicide. Devontae Mitchell died following an encounter at a Hyatt Regency in Milwaukee. This cell phone video recorded by a witness.
Stay down! Please stop fighting!
Showing Mitchell pleading for help as he's held face down by 4 people, identified by police as hotel security.
To see them beat him repeatedly over and over and over again. They didn't stop. They could have stopped. They could have let him go, and they didn't.
Mitchell's family says they viewed surveillance video that they say showed Mitchell running through the lobby on Sunday, June 30th, entering a women's restroom.
Let me go into the ladies' room. This is what happened.
Milwaukee police saying Mitchell had fought with security guards who detained him until police arrived. They say officers found Mitchell unresponsive and he later died. The 43-year-old husband and father may have been suffering from a mental health episode, according to Mitchell's family. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump says one of the men who held him down, a front desk employee, claims he told security guards Mitchell couldn't breathe, but was ordered to keep holding him.
It's outrageous. It was inhumane. It was unnecessary.
And overnight, the managing group of the Milwaukee Hyatt, Aimbridge Hospitality, announced they have terminated several associates, saying their actions violated policy on June 30th. Meanwhile, the DA's office is waiting for the full results of the autopsy as they weigh the potential for criminal charges.
All right, Emily Ikeda, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
International headlines now. Tragedy in South Africa where a Spanish tourist was trampled and killed by a herd of elephants.
Claudio Lavanga joins us now from Rome with that and more. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. A tourist from Spain was crushed to death by a herd of elephants in a national park in South Africa. Now, according to a local spokesperson, the 43-year-old man was visiting the Pilanesberg Reserve, a popular tourist destination in the northwest of South Africa, together with his fiancée and 2 other women. Local police said the man stopped his vehicle when he spotted 3 elephants with 3 calves, got close to take pictures despite warnings, and was then trampled to death by the elephants. Experts say the elephants may have charged to protect their calves. Let's go to North Carolina now, where right after Colombia beat Uruguay in the semifinal of the Copa America on Wednesday, a player from Uruguay, Darwin Núñez, physically confronted Colombia supporters in the stands. Video shows Núñez climbing up railings and making his way into the crowded stands of the Bank of America Stadium. But Uruguay captain Jose Maria Jimenez said the players were just trying to defend their families in the stands who felt threatened by Colombia's fans. And let's end this tour of the world in Paris, where the Summer's Olympics aim to be the first fully gender-equal games, the first to drastically reduce carbon emissions, and the first games in which the opening ceremony will not be held inside a stadium. And those are not just the only firsts in these games. For the first time, the Olympic Village will feature a nursery to help athlete moms to spend time with their babies, and will provide them with hotel rooms for breastfeeding. Well, all in all, guys, it looks like that with all this first, the Paris Olympics have already won a gold medal for inclusiveness and for being so innovative. Good for them.
Cute. That's cool. Claudio, thank you so much.
Coming up, keep your phones at the door.
That's right. Virginia is set to crack down on cell phone use in classrooms. Why the state is the latest to push for a phone-free environment, and why some believe it's a mental health issue. Stay with us. That's up next. Welcome back. Virginia has now joined other states in cracking down on cell phones in the classroom. Governor Glenn Youngkin issued an executive order earlier this week requiring the Virginia Department of Education to come up with policy guidance for creating a phone-free learning environment that would go into effect at the beginning of the next calendar year.
Youngkin also announced plans to invest $500,000 to support this effort, which he says is both a mental health and a safety issue.
For more on this, we are joined by family and clinical psychologist Dr. Jennifer Hartstein. Dr. Hartstein, good morning. Always great to have you here. So first, as a mental health professional, what are some of your initial thoughts? Just seeing some state governments get so hands-on with this issue, what can you tell us about how much phones do interfere with kids' learning?
Well, they interfere a lot. Think about what it does for adults, right? They're major distractions. So when we're in a school setting, even if the phone is on silent, kids are often checking them, looking at them. And the truth of the matter is we can't multitask. We task switch. So kids are looking at their phone and then paying attention in class. So what are they missing in that educational process that they need to build greater skills over time?
I mean, clearly kids are growing up in a different world than the previous generation did. Some kids are using artificial intelligence to write their homework. Not great, but they're doing it. Technology is just part of our minute-to-minute existence. So how do we balance that? This is part of our lives right now. It feels like you could be going against the tide in some ways, right?
Well, I think you used the key word here, Joe, which is balance, right? I think what we have not done a great job of is teaching that overall. And I think the bans are a kind of way to move back to the other side. But ultimately, we're going to have to settle in the middle because we are moving towards more and more and more tech. Homework is on. They find out that their homework assignments are online, all of these things. So, like, where does that end? So I think the balance piece of it is where we're ultimately going to need the most leverage and to lean into the most.
The other thing, of course, is how this impacts the youth mental health crisis. That was even mentioned in this particular executive order. Do you think these anti-phone policies make a difference in that regard to kids' development, happiness, these feelings of loneliness? How can this help?
I think that we don't know yet what the difference will be, but I do think we have to make some changes, right? We know that there is a youth mental health crisis. We know that much of it aligns with the influence of social media and how much we're living life out loud and how kids are not equipped to handle that. Adults are not equipped to handle that, let's be honest, right? So how are we expecting kind of developing brains to do that? So again, what are we teaching? It goes back to, I think, what are we teaching at home? What are we teaching in schools? How are we teaching how to interpret all of these things so that we can teach kids to really understand and navigate it better, because it's not going to go away. So we need to learn how to live with it, not against it.
We talked about it a moment ago, balance. Easier said than done. I mean, what are some ways families and schools can actually find that healthy balance when it comes to phone use among kids?
I think that this is the lesson we're all trying to figure out. So I think some of it is understanding and identifying what are the rules in your own home as the adults and what are the limits you have for yourself and how are you modeling that. That starts with you as the adult, and we teach our kids that. That can translate into schools. Some teachers use phones within the educational process. How are we building it in to teach where it's helpful and to teach where it's harmful? And I think ultimately, you guys, the key thing here is, are we talking to our kids about what they're looking at? So are we asking them to show us? Are we teaching them what's healthy, what's unhealthy? We just kind of hand them computers and they have them in their pocket and expect them to know what to do. We wouldn't hand them car keys. So let's teach them responsible ways to utilize that technology so that they don't have all of these mental health issues moving forward.
Dr. Jennifer Hartstein, we appreciate you as always. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Coming up, a warning from doctors about nicotine pouches made popular by social media.
They're being billed as a safer way to get your nicotine fix, but there are some risks. What you need to know coming up next on Morning News Now.
We're back now with growing health concerns due to a spike in use of nicotine pouches, something that's placed between the upper lip and gums. Well, social media influencers have been promoting them, causing doctors to warn they are becoming dangerously popular among teens and young adults. NBC News Now anchor Vicki Nguyen brings us more on the risks you should know about.
Zyn is probably a great alternative to get nicotine without all the other harmful stuff.
On social media, they're called Zynfluencers, people touting nicotine pouches promoted as safer than cigarettes because they're tobacco-free.
Let's do 3.
The most popular brand, Zyn, surging in sales with 131 million cans sold in the U.S. in just the first 3 months of the year.
How did it make you feel the first time you had one?
It gives you a shot of dopamine, so you just feel a little energized, happier, almost focused.
32-year-old Will Lamas says he quickly became addicted to Zyn. Unlike chewing tobacco, vapes, or traditional cigarettes, the pouches are discreet and come in flavors like coffee, citrus, and mint. Soon, he says he was using up to 20 a day.
You put it in your lip, just inside, and just leave it there for 30 minutes.
After a year, Will began to have severe stomach pain, but doctors didn't know why.
I got an ultrasound. I got a colonoscopy, and all they found was that my stomach was inflamed.
His symptoms are not surprising to Dr. Donna Shelley. She says nicotine is a highly addictive drug with side effects including gastrointestinal issues, mouth ulcers, and elevated heart rate.
Why do you think these products are so popular with young people and teenagers?
One is flavors. Also, it's easier to hide that you're using a pouch.
While the FDA is still reviewing the safety of Zyn and similar products, multiple medical organizations have asked the agency to halt sales. Earlier this year, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also called for a crackdown on the marketing of these products.
Even the amount in this one pouch can be highly addictive.
In a statement, Zyn maker Philip Morris says it's committed to developing products such as Zyn that are scientifically substantiated as a better alternative to continued smoking. Zyn's marketing is directed toward legal age nicotine users who are 21 and up.
The gray line was my resting heart rate while I was on Zyn. The red line, a week after, was my average resting heart rate from quitting. It showed me 10 beats per minute lower the week after I quit.
After researching his symptoms online, Will suspected the pouches.
Haven't had stomach issues since the day I quit, cold turkey.
6 months later, he says he still has cravings.
If I had known that it was going to cause me so many health issues, I wouldn't have started.
Vicki Nguyen, NBC News, Stamford, Connecticut.
High prices are impacting just about everyone, but a new report from Bank of America shows that today's prices are actually hitting Gen Z adults the hardest.
Yeah, they found that more than half of the adults they surveyed from 18 to 27 say that those prices are the top reason they can't find financial success.
Here to help us break down highlights of the report is Bank of America's president of retail banking, Holly O'Neill. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So the survey shows nearly half of Gen Zers still getting financial help from their parents. Just how hard is it for younger generations to build wealth right now in 2024?
We're hearing from Gen Z that it is hard. It's disproportionately hard. As you said, over half of them feel that it's a barrier to success. So they're feeling the high cost of living. And what it's causing them, they're delaying big milestones. So half of them are not on track to buy a home. 46% of them haven't started saving for retirement, and about 40% of them also don't see themselves saving or investing. So they are delaying some of those big milestones that you have early in your life.
Like you just said, they're not saving, many of them, almost a third, in fact, but they say that they would like to. They just don't have enough money to do that. For those who are trying to prioritize their finances, what did you learn about how Gen Z is dealing with this, with these high prices and trying to make those ends meet?
There's some good news here. Gen Z is definitely adjusting their spending. So They're spending less. They're trying to spend less of their disposable income. They're changing their lifestyle. They're dining out less. They're skipping events with friends, and they're shopping at more affordable grocery stores. So the good news is they know they need a path, and they're adjusting their spending to help them get there.
Of course, these issues don't just impact you today. It can have a major impact on your future plans. So looking at the survey, how does Gen Z feel about reaching its financial goals? If they can't save now, what can that mean for your future finances?
Well, I always tell Gen Z they have to start by creating a budget. So even if they're experiencing the high cost of living today, they can create a budget. They can get out there, set themselves some financial goals, buying a home, starting to save for retirement. They can seek out financial education. And I always advise start saving early, even if it is a small amount on a weekly or a monthly basis.
What are the top ways you advise young adults to get on the right financial track, even though the cost of living is so high? Maybe their rent's super high and they just don't know how to even start.
Sure. So the budget is step number one. And a good guideline for your budget is 50% of your take-home pay on the essentials: rent, utilities, food. Second is 30% on some of the discretionary spending, going out, entertainment. And then 20% is for emergency savings. So that is a great way to start. Set a budget. The 50, 30, 20 guidelines is a good place to start.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good starting point as well. And just at the beginning, just see where it's going, organize your spending, and then you can kind of see if you're in that way or if you need to adjust other areas.
It's definitely tricky,
That's right.
So those are great tips.
Yeah. Holly O'Neill, thanks for joining us and bringing us that useful advice. We appreciate it.
Thanks for.
Let's stay on some money news this morning. A recent survey finds most Americans are feeling the impact of rising energy bills.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau has that and other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. Yeah, so nearly 80% of adults say their finances have been impacted by rising energy costs. Now, a new survey from CNET finds just over a third of Americans are more worried about their home energy costs this summer, and roughly 30% are relying on financing or payment plans to cover those costs. They're also taking steps to try to reduce their energy bills by using energy efficient products, a smart or programmable thermostat, insulating their home, and using smart plugs or outlets. Meanwhile, Costco is raising its membership fee for the first time since 2017. The basic Gold Star membership will go up by $5 to $65 a year, while the executive membership will rise by $10 to $130 a year. The changes go into effect in September and will affect about 52 million members. Costco has typically raised membership fees every 5 years or so. The company has telegraphed this move for months, saying last fall it was a question of when, not if. And joy meet elation. Inside Out 2 is now the highest grossing film in Pixar's history. The family film has earned $1.25 billion worldwide, just edging past Incredibles 2. It's also now the fourth highest grossing animated movie of all time, behind Frozen, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Frozen 2, guys. I still haven't seen it, but I want to go see it. I'm going to take my nephew.
I do too. It's so cool. It's doing well.
Is Rich in emotion? Because Pixar is raking it in. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Savannah, thank you.
Coming up, speaking of, $1 billion donation with priceless results.
When we come back, we will introduce you to one of the many students now able to attend med school for free. This is Morning News Now.
Welcome back. If you were a kid who dreamed of having your very own dinosaur, turns out it's not too late. Sotheby's is auctioning a 150-million-year-old Stegosaurus skeleton named Apex. It's the largest and most complete Stegosaurus ever found at 11 feet tall, 27 feet long. The skeleton was discovered in 2022 in Colorado's Morrison Formation. If you're interested in bidding, starts next week at $3 million. Could reach as high as $6 million. What do you say? Let's all chip in.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they're auctioning it. It seems like it should be in a museum.
It does feel like that, but, you know, maybe it could be the News Now mascot or something.
Love it.
All right.
We'll put it right over there. Thanks, Joe. We end this hour with a look at the life-changing billion-dollar donation at Johns Hopkins Medical School. Yes, you heard that right. $1 billion. It's making tuition completely free for the majority of students. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber brings us the incredible story of one incoming med student and how this life-changing gift will help her live out her dream and the dreams of her immigrant parents.
Medical school is notoriously taxing. It's mentally, emotionally, and financially demanding. But for med students at Johns Hopkins, the cost, suddenly zero.
My roommates woke up to a loud scream.
Bloomberg Philanthropies announcing a $1 billion donation to the medical school, making education free for most current and future students.
America needs doctors, and we need the best minds in medicine. And so this gift that Mike Bloomberg had is going to help us, as I said before, find those students, those brilliant students who might have otherwise not gone to medical school.
100% of tuition will be covered for families making less than $300,000 a year. That's 95% of households in the country. And for families who make $175,000 or less each year, living expenses and other fees will also be covered. The massive donation changing the lives of students like Nancy Chen.
Initially, when I read the email that was sent out, I thought it was fake.
Chen grew up in North Carolina, a first-generation American who worked at her parents' Chinese restaurant. And her dream of becoming a doctor started at a young age when she would act as the family's translator.
I'm coming from a lower income background, and I know what it was like as a patient in the hospital, trying to translate for my parents who didn't have insurance.
Have you thought about the possibility of seeing another family like yours, another 10-year-old like you, and you being the doctor that's in that room and being able to tell that kid who maybe looks a lot like you and reminds you of yourself, don't worry, I've got this?
Oh, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. That is exactly how I want to be as a doctor.
Her dream, getting closer last year when she was accepted into her top choice, Johns Hopkins Medical School.
Congratulations and welcome to Johns Hopkins class of 2028.
The sacrifices of her parents paying off.
For the past year, the first thing that came out of his mouth is, my daughter's going to Hopkins for medical school.
But at close to $100,000 a year, cost would be an issue for Chen and her family. Then she found out she'd get financial aid.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
It covered about 80% of her tuition, but she'd still need to take out tens of thousands of dollars in student loans.
And that still kind of loomed over my head.
With Bloomberg's donation, she won't have to worry. All of her expenses are entirely paid for.
I was with my mom at that time, and I just looked at her, and she was like, what? And I was like, I think I'm not gonna be in debt.
And in a few years, when she's Dr. Nancy Chen, she plans to be the physician her family always needed.
What do you hope other families, patients, kids of patients will say when they leave an interaction with you?
Just a thank you is enough. I just want to be able to know that I had, no matter how big of an impact on their lives, I really hope that it was a positive impact.
All thanks to a gift that truly keeps on giving.
Oh my goodness. Just so amazing to hear her story.
And what that means for her now to not have to worry about any of that college debt and can be the best doctor imaginable.
God, and so many students in the same position at that school. Just amazing. Our thanks to Ellison Barber for bringing us her story.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.